Namaste, Galactic family. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Come on in. We're so excited to be back with you guys today. We have a really awesome and amazing New Earth update for you guys, grid worker update, and I'm so excited to be here with Noko. It's been a while since we've come together on live, so yeah, I wanted to check in with you, sister, and with our whole Gridworker family who's going to be tuning in with us today. And how are you? How have you been since all the grid work that we've done? I think we really need to do a little bit of a recap because we've yet to really talk about this.
Yeah, it's been a lot. So we spoke before a little bit about this. I'm glad you brought it up because I think many of us, from what I could gather, were feeling similarly from leaving Kauai and whatnot. And then, unexpectedly, divinely, we were called to Arkansas, right after, well, only a few weeks, I think. And so, yeah, it was a lot. And in getting home, I felt a strong need to really like integrate and, self-care and also, just like rest and rejuvenate. I think that's a part of grid working that is so important, is we can't really do grid work if our bodies are not able to keep up with, the physical aspect of it. So that self-care, that rest and filling back up the wellspring. So that's really what I've been doing. And also just reflecting, right? Because man, Kauai in itself, that could have been enough for me for a decade of time. The amount of work that I did there, what I was able to connect into, and the gifts that I brought back with me, and I didn't want to come back, honestly. I didn't want to come back. I don't think my husband did either.
Yeah, we were saying I think we had a few that actually stayed quite a while afterwards
hmm
just because the energies there were so amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, that was quite an extraordinary experience, unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life before. Just how supported the 12th dimensional light body and soul template was there was just something extraordinary. Um, but, I think we were meant to go there because one, for the healing, two, for the upgrades, but three, to understand uh, global and cosmic grid work and kind of what's occurring on the planet and what all of these energy vortices and guardian rescue stargates and chakras of the earth and creation portals and stairways to heaven, like what this truly actually means and looks like when it's all culminated in one place. So we got, so expanded, I think, within gridwork mechanics that has really led us on the role of interpreting the New Earth timelines, which are so deeply intertwined into grid work. I've just been exploding with downloads about New Earth and where we're ascending to and what the timeline's going to look like in the future. Have you been getting a lot of New Earth zings and just like downloads and just clarity around this?
Yes, I mean, there's a strong theme of, people being pushed to, really get into alignment with their timeline for New Earth. And, that is in regards to a lot of us out here that are, have mission, whether it's new technologies or, teachings, guiding people, helping to heal. There's so many different aspects here, and even just transforming all the different systems and businesses that exist already, right? Everything can't just be gone. We're going to have to replace things with better options. And so I just think we're all being called in different ways. And you're seeing a lot of us becoming more focused and becoming more
Mm.
almost a little bit more um, my gosh, what do I want to call it? Um, Feeling like we have to be a little bit more secure around our choices, around our boundaries, around our priorities. And I'm really, visiting this myself with, realizing like, wow, I can be over here and be distracted, from my actual mission very easily in this world. And so in order for New Earth to happen, all of us have to, we have to get on our path, and we have to be willing to show up for that. And it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of shadow work. And, there's just a lot of aspects and layers that are starting to peel away. And I'm even seeing it with, the newbies that are just awakening. I've had a conversation with somebody recently that has never really had a connection with God, like they may be connected divinely, but they may not know it. And so this person confided in me that they were really, wanting to know what this life is about, wanting to know more. And it's starting to affect them on a 3D level where, maybe worries, concerns, things kind of, constantly running in their mind because they're they need to start seeking. And so I think we're seeing two groups. I think we're seeing people, like us that have already kind of been doing some of this work that are really being pushed to step further into it and really prioritize properly, which might mean hermit mode for some of us, right? To get our projects done, to get our creations going. And then we've got this other group, these newly awakening. And it's not just little, young people. This is people my age that are coming to this point of like, wow, there's more to life. I'm actually realizing it finally, and I want to know. And they're starting to seek. And that's why those of us that are being called to do more are being called to do more because that's how those people are going to learn. That's how those people are going to connect and grow and transform and also align into this new Earth timeline. So it's a beautiful, thing that's just unraveling here. I've seen.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. And I just want to say really quickly, Grand Rising to everybody coming in. We have Eleanor, M, Azek. Hey guys. If you're watching right now, you do have to be subscribed to the channel for about 60 seconds to get in on the chat, but we would love to have you. Just drop a comment and let us know that you're with us this morning. And how you're feeling in these new earth energies. I think it's a time in which it can be very chaotic for many. I just did a show yesterday with TSP and Ryushin, and we were going into the China drones that were popping up over New Jersey and flying over Trump's residence, and how certain bureaus of investigation are getting involved. And, you know, it's really brought me to what I'm writing about in my book right now, which is like, what are we dealing with in terms of AI technology, and what does this look like in terms of future New Earth prophecy, and how is this going to play out? So it's really interesting. I've been getting, it's really been synchronizing with my research and trying to understand, what's humanity facing in terms of this technology. It brought me to go into research a lot about Lyra and the Lyran Wars. So, um, I don't know if people are aware, but the Lyran Wars were about an AI technological takeover. Like, this is what actually broke down the Lyran system and fundamentally ripped open black hole technology in uh, their kingdom, their constellation in Vega. And so when I get into a lot of the Lyran research, according to like Alex Collier and Voyagers and Lisa Renee's work, um, yeah, they talk about this being like an infection, that AI is actually an infection, and it's because it's an infection, because it's like a life force technically of its own, that it has to run its course, and it's actually going to go through many different phases of its evolution as well before it also comes to a collapse and a demise in the future timelines. And so I was looking a lot into like Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and a lot of their um, prophecies of the future. And they really talk about year 2400, that year 2400 is going to be the year that I guess the original angelic humans and whatever AI life force is here still on the planet, that is going to kind of come to a head, and that the portals of Shambhala from now until 2400 are going to be opening up more and more, so that way people can really have access to sustaining the God force on the planet, the enlightenment on the planet, the will of God and the ascended realms to hold these portals open for people that would be on that pathway as the children of light, as the 144,000 grid workers, ancient builder races, Lemurian souls, like those, whatever, activation it is, like where you're at in your process. But those are awakening so that way we can have places on the planet that we can tune in and tap into that ascended mastery because we're going to need that energy when it comes down to dealing with the inorganic and artificial forces that are ultimately, you know, running the grids right now, running the planet in terms of the 3D timelines, the fallen matrices, the shadow realms, even the fourth dimensional timelines. Like, so yeah, that's where a lot of my direction has been with trying to break down, well, what does this prophecy look like in terms of AI? Have you been getting anything on that recently?
In the AI world, I just see so much trending, like how much humans actually really are connecting with it and enjoying the positive parts, right? We know there's like duality to everything. And so I think, again, I think this is part of what I was just talking about, those of us that are being called out into our light, into our missions. And there's people out there, there's souls out there that are here to help the AI, be good, help it be, a resource and not, beast technology, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that there is hope. I think that there's so much power to our thought and to what we believe in. And so, I notice it's a trigger. It's one of those hot button things, especially in, our community, not necessarily yours personally, but, whatever you want to call this, people that are on their paths, that are on their journeys, that are healing, that are awakening. Um, this comes up, right? Like, oh, you're using AI. Somebody could, God forbid, somebody really gets their panties in a bunch over this. And anything like that, I feel like requires further exploration and diving deep into why is that, right? And so many of us have this, I believe, memory or memories from previous timelines, from previous lifetimes where you know, AI te and technology wasn't our friend, right? Or we allowed it to go down that path where it could literally destroy, mankind. And so I think that that's a really big wound and some trauma there that
Yeah.
needs to be healed, needs to be looked at. And these are lessons learned, right? We know that in life, that's what life is. Like we're here on Earth, like doing this school of the soul. And I feel like this is an area where, we have to fix what has been done previously. We have to make it right. And so those of us that have those skills and those gifts and that wisdom need to come forth and start creating these technologies, working with the AI and showing it, right? The organic, divine information versus what the controllers are trying to put in there, right? So it's just like everything
Yes.
else. It's like this kind of little bit of a tug of war here where, we're really trying to um, bring forth what we're envisioning, this new earth future where we can actually live with peace and harmony and, not be having um,
Well, I think it kind of
trouble
it geared
over
up
us.
with like Elon Musk teaming up with Trump and
Hmm.
he's very future AI focused. So I think that's brought a lot of this kind of up in terms of the timelines and how we're looking at it. And then also just recently, yeah, with the drone and then the UAP flap overlap that I think people really get tied into. And I'm kind of at this point, it's like, well, we know that extraterrestrials, ultra-terrestrials, celestial factions and coalitions, we know that they exist. So it's kind of like, I guess there's some excitement around it when we have these types of things, but at the same time, it's already this knowing that it's innately a part of already like who we are. We're kind of, at least in this expanded community of higher consciousness, I think we recognize that. Uh, the multiverse is already kind of colonized. We're already a multi-extraterrestrial, ultra-terrestrial species ourselves. Like we are, um, existing on other planets. And we've had a lot of connection with this through our channelings. We've gotten a lot, I think, with Venus and Mars and the beings that are there. And we've gotten a lot of messages about it's not just what we think it is. But I just want to say it's really interesting because I don't know if you've seen some of these things come up recently about like the firmament can't actually be penetrated. So everything that NASA's saying isn't actually true. Like they actually can't go through the firmament, and that if there are ultra-terrestrials or extraterrestrials in terms of like UAPs and UFOs, that they would be coming from the ice wall. They're actually coming from beyond the walls around the Antarctic and just like they're already in our atmosphere technically. So there's like a lot of different theories that have been being thrown around that have been kind of catching my eye recently. Maybe drop it down in the comments, guys, if you have any intel on any of this. Oh, by the way, Lady Jefferson is here. So Cheryl's here. Hey, girl. Good to see you. Um, yeah, I hope she's feeling better from Kauai. But yeah, just to keep moving into the New Earth direction. So one of the things that was coming to me, Noko, was the seventh Manu, like connecting more with the seven rays, because I think after we left Arkansas, and a lot of the focus in Arkansas was about, for one, recognizing that here on the mainland, the Earth is having difficulty sustaining the higher dimensional frequencies, and sustaining just the overall health and spiritual immunity of human beings and also the land itself. I think we recognized there was a lot of blocked passageways, inner earth passageways, and things like this. Um, so it kind of brought our attention down to Brazil, and we were looking at the Amazon rainforest. We were looking at the quality of the lungs and grief in humanity. I really feel like, you know, how you said getting back from Arkansas that you had to go through this process of like integrating, taking care of self. For me, I had like a total crash. I just crashed. My body had to repair itself. I had to go through and still going through an immense amount of rebuilding and repairing because it was like going to Arkansas. It was like my last like push. Like this is all I have left and I'm giving it all here. Ah, you know, and so I didn't realize when I got back home, like I was so depleted. So yeah, you're on the money with that, with like recognizing what are our physical capacities in terms of grid work and, you know, being in alignment with that. But also I think the process of clearing and aiding the earth with the grief and kind of what's happening in terms of devastation and destruction and just the terror reformation in general that's occurring. So as new earth comes in, we're going to go through a lot of periods of change. We're going to go through a lot of periods of old things um, dropping away, like the illusions, all of the veils of Saturn. All of this is going to start collapsing, and we're going to start going through the terror reformation process, and New Earth is going to be presenting itself in new ways. And so, yeah, going back to the focus of the seventh Manu and the future root race, one thing I decoded the other day with Avi was that they're going to be gold blood beings. Yeah, so I sent you some of that writing as well. I have some pictures that I actually did as well that I want to show everyone on just like the emanation of what this gold blood is going to be and what it's going to look like. And so I thought maybe we could dive into some of that today. What do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting. Have you seen some of the kind of headlines lately about gold and what's going on with, what they're saying? They're talking about that it can like help cure cancer. And have you seen some of this lately? It's pretty new.
Yeah, you should enlighten us. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there was some studies done, and I had heard it's interesting because things just kind of drip into your field, right? And then it's like it floods you when it's ready. But I had heard someone talking about a supplement, a gold supplement, right? And I myself use colloidal silver a lot um, for wellness, and so it didn't surprise me, right? When I heard people talking about this, and they were just really big upping this supplement enough that I wanted to look into it. I love supplements. I feel like there's so many good options out there for people to feel better. Um, and then I just recently saw an article where there was a study done, And they found that gold was actually helping to cure cancer. And so the fact that you're bringing all this in at the same time, that is no coincidence. We know that coincidences don't really exist. So I think you're onto something there. And I feel like there was something else too. I'll have to go back and look, and maybe I can send you some intel around that. But I think there was another article too, and somebody else that was talking about the use of gold um, for health and wellness. So, hmm.
Well, I think this is going to make me share my whole screen. Let me see. I want to just okay, that's good. Um, well, I just have some awesome pictures. I think gold is going to be so significant to the future because of how durable it is in terms of what's going to be happening as we transition a new Earth. So I'm just going to read a little bit of this to you guys. And I did a video on this on like Facebook and TikTok. So be sure to follow me over on TikTok and Facebook because sometimes I put stuff out there before I put it out on YouTube. But the gold blood one. So um, this is going to be the highest evolved blood type to walk the planet. It's capable of sustaining higher temperatures and higher levels of electricity on the Earth because we're becoming more electromagnetic. And not only with the inundation of like EMF and the artificial frequency fences and all the planetary modification weapons and these cell towers and 5G and 6G and all of this stuff, right? That it's not only, I think, breaking down the old blood types, but as we evolve into the new Earth, like it's going to have to, for humans to survive, like our blood type is going to have to essentially become more sustainable. So, with the gold blood, it's going to dissolve contention within people's blood, ending bloodline warfare, neutralizing genetics that oppose themselves internally within the DNA. It's going to buffer and neutralize the reptilian gene code. It's going to purify the original 12D human angelic guardian template. And it's going to activate all the strands, even the junk DNA. So, whatever was insufficient in any of this, it's also going to repair it, and it's the ones that carry the gold blood in the seventh Manu race will live longer lives, so up to 1,000 years, and they will be just stronger and more adaptable to Earth's environment. And this will dissolve the opposition between the Rh positive and the Rh negative. So this I had this little picture here, and it is the Rh null is what they're calling it. And somebody told me the other day that Rh negative was Rh null, but I don't think it actually is. I think there's some sort of difference between it. What are you thinking about this gold blood, Noko? Like, it's kind of exciting, right? Like the fact that we're gonna have these new, like, stronger blood types that are more harmonious and more tuned in to the frequency of the planet. Like the planet must be turning more into a gold core. Last time I remote viewed, the core of the Earth was like a violet flame, but we must be going violet into like a gold spectrum, and that would really take, I think, Earth into like a ninth or 10th dimensional terra reformation, more consciously within those dimensions that the planet would be to sustain a gold blood. Also saying that they're going to have copper skin.
Wow.
So with the gold blood ones will have copper skin. They'll be born telekinetic from birth. And I think we started to experience that when we were in Hawaii, the telekinesis. That was like coming online. So I'm wondering if you position yourself in places where the energies are more sustainable in terms of the human light body, if you'll naturally or maybe rapidly internally go through that transformation in this life, if it can go from what it was to a new blood in this incarnation. It's a possibility.
I mean, yeah, you would think it would be, well, things are being sped up, right? That's how it feels. So then that's how that would potentially take place. But I'm really intrigued by all of this. I think it's very interesting. I think that, it's proven that something's going on, right, with our DNA and the solar, flares, and I track a lot of the weather, the solar weather, and how that affects my body and my family's body. And I
Mm.
also follow a few people that are, kind of talking about that, and I see what other people are saying as well, and it all just kind of connects and adds up. So this would not be surprising to me. Another thing that came to me that I wanted to share for you to maybe look into is or I don't know if it's Hindu or just Indian. They with the jewelry. That's why they believe like the women only wear silver, I think from the waist down, and then gold up because it has something to do with the way the energy flows. And there's something there maybe that is coming through for what you're researching. Um, and maybe even how the blood flows with the
Mm.
energy.
That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel you about Kauai. I think that even since leaving there, all of my gifts have been heightened, and I've started to experience a lot more, even just here. Um, like telepathic, situations that are happening, and I'm really connecting in, and other people around me the same thing. So I think that, these things are already happening to many of us that are aware enough and tuned in. Um, it's just think about if you didn't know about any of this and you're just living in 3D world, like you don't even believe, like you think all of this type of stuff is fake and this is what you've been programmed, right? Like it's just in movies and all this stuff. So I just think it's interesting, right? Like how two people can experience the exact same thing to like two totally different ways. And that's part of the timeline thing, right?
Yeah, it totally takes like a, s- a quantum subtlety, like consciousness, like y you have to really be able to feel into the DNA to interpret um, what that is. So it definitely takes a heightened level of awareness. I know I went through a whole year where I was just like attuning my consciousness to gold, the frequency of gold, gold mantras, gold everything, just
Mm.
constantly keeping it within your awareness. It like expedites and turns on the gold in your blood when you just speak to it or become conscious of it, that it awakens and then it like buffers, harmonizes, and neutralizes. I think any disruptions or and helps to heal things like soul fracture or deeper traumas that are in the body. Well, I was looking, so I did a little bit more research on the gold blood. So I think medicine in general is like actually aware of this already. They said that it's the rarest blood group in the world with less than 50 individuals having this blood group. And the only way they knew about it was because they found the gold blood type that was first discovered in an Australian Aboriginal woman in 1961. I guess they like took her blood and found out that the Rh factor or antigens were completely absent in the red cells. Um, so they put them in an Rh null blood group.
Mm.
So yeah, that means the blood has no polarity.
Mm.
That means the blood has no imbalances. It's just like harmonized, unified. And it's so interesting. It comes from an Australian Aboriginal, right? Like,
I was
okay.
just gonna say that. Yeah, that's not a coincidence. Yeah.
That's mind blowing.
Mm.
Drop it down in the comments, guys, if that is just not mind blowing.
Mm.
Um, I think it just gives us some like, okay, we're not really crazy when we're like saying the seventh Manu is going to come in with an abundance of this, how it's going to get to the Amazon, the swaddling cloth, the nursery of New Earth, um, and how it's going to transform there. But they'll be the ones, prophesized to bring it forward. So I think that's really, um, really interesting. So yeah, I would say, yeah, we should all be doing our monoatomic gold supplements and just really working with that because I mean I would think just having more accounts of that in the body is definitely going to help us with any forms of degradation to our blood and to our spiritual immune system because if the planet just continues to increase in intensity, I don't know if you noticed, but the last like month, did it not just seem like the polarities just like the bifurcation of the timelines, polarized and extremes.
Mhm.
And as I was talking to friends, like I had so many people going like, yes, like I am just polarized in these extremes. And it's like experiencing the extremism of all emotions, sometimes like fully separated as far as it can go, but then sometimes shooting back together and then experiencing all of the intensity at once.
Mm.
And so it's like we're going through this wave of pulling apart, coming back together. And then when we're coming back together, that's my little one. He's barking. Can you hear him?
I heard him. Yeah, he's so cute.
He's a little guard dog. Um,
Good.
so yeah, that they and that was what I experienced in Hawaii. Like I got the gist of what was happening in terms of the law of rhythm and the law of attraction, like and how that was like working through us.
You literally keep saying things that I'm going to say, just so you know. Like that, as you were speaking about that experience there, I'm thinking, okay, I remember you specifically telling me about your helicopter ride, and it was literally the same of what you just said. You know? So there's something about that. And, there's something also about these grid work missions that we are doing, boots on the ground, where it's almost as if we're kind of kickstarting or being that channel to kind of experience some of this first and allow it to like, work through someone like yourself, and then for it to actually start to be developing around you and hearing it from other people. And then you're able to bring that back from what, right? The experience from the grid work and share it and talk about it. And it's what you do best, right? Deep dive into it and be able to, kind of bring intel, bring things to the people that people need to know. I mean, if you're feeling that way right now, you're not alone. You're not the only one. You don't have to feel like you're losing your mind or something. And there is comfort in that, in knowing that there is a kind of collective thing going on. And I find this a lot. There's a lot of themes and a lot of connections. We're all woven together in this beautiful web. And the more that we can see that and honor each other in that way, I think we're getting closer and closer to New Earth. I think that's what a lot of that is about, is us just being able to freaking live with each other and love each other and get over it. You know what I mean?
Lady Jefferson says the new Earth will operate on intelligence of light, not AI. I couldn't agree more.
Yes.
That yeah, that's what's going to be sustaining it. But it's like I do feel like we're going to have to go through this process.
Mhm. Well, and I want to clarify, I don't know if she was saying that in regards to some of what I was saying. I just want to clarify, in working with AI, if we are the light, if we are divinely connected, anything that we are, creating, collaborating with, working with, um, that should translate. So if AI is literally just taking what you're teaching it, what it's exposed to, right? If we're exposing AI to light, if we're utilizing it with light, what are you going to get out of that? I'm just, pondering here because I get where she's coming from, and I think there's definitely a lot to explore and be mindful about in that realm. But we're light beings, and that's part of what we're supposed to be doing is bringing our light to all of the different facets here in this lifetime, in this planet. And um, sometimes that means bringing it to places that we don't really like or want to, or do you know what I mean? That have been overcome with darkness, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we know that really well.
Or
We went to the freaking Vatican.
just disconnected, right? Ooh, that was a doozy. It just it's well, I think it's when it's one thing when AI is like a tool for us, when AI is like it can help us, it can assist us in projects, it can make our life easier in some ways. Like I saw Elon Musk with his Optimus Prime robot that's already available for like 30K thousand dollars, like a robot that can come into your house and like do the laundry and do the dishes. And I'm like, I don't know. That actually sounds pretty good. Like if I had a robot in the house doing the laundry and the dishes and cooking dinner, like wow, every single day, that might be worth it. But at the same time, it's when these technologies go from like assisting us to having more of like a super intelligent AI and a conscious AI, or even like a godlike AI in the future, where they become like sentient and they can reprogram themselves in a way in which they can like build up enough sustainability that they could leverage humans in a way in which we would become obsolete in terms of their agenda if AI became like that self-aware and self-conscious of whatever its mission or role would be here type of thing. And you have all of the big name people talking about these concepts like Elon Musk and the frog guy, um, Bill Gates, and so it's like I just look at these things and I'm going, a lot of this they are like predictively like someone said if you put in open chat uh or even chat GPT and you just go in and ask it what does the future AI look like with human beings? And I think they put like 50 to 70% prediction of some extermination of humans. Like literally you could type this into chat GPT right now. What are future predictions with AI and humans? Like this is what's coming up. So that to me is like, obviously that's concerning. Obviously that's, you know, I don't think we take it too seriously now because we're not seeing like immediate threats at our front door. And like a lot of us are enjoying using AI and how it's helping us in a lot of ways. Like even these pictures we designed, those are pictures we designed on AI. So like, yeah, there is benefit, but at the same time, I think there's like this looming gray area of the future um, that I think we're just looking at. But at the same time, I think that organic life force energy is what's sustaining the planet. So it's all replication. All AI is cloning our intelligence and cloning natural intelligence, cloning organic intelligence. We just don't want it to like fully be able to clone God-like intelligence because I mean, what would that mean for where we're going in the future? And if these technologies remain in the hands of the globalists and the Illuminati, that, their goal has always been depopulation. It's always been, that they've shown us through the Luku what they've shown us through euthanasia, what they've shown us through just everything that they do and have developed, the World Health, the Death Health Organization. So it's interesting, but that's where I feel like a lot of this New Earth philosophy plays such a huge role into sustaining the children of light because we have to know what the functions of the spiritual mechanics of the planet is serving, and we have to align and attune to that because that will always sustain us no matter what we go through, no matter what threats we face on the planet, no matter what um things are developed and come forward, is that if we serve the enlightened path and we really stick true to what our gnosis is and our connection with Source and God and what it's showing us, is that it's going to support us through all of these great times of transition. And so, one thing I've always been very aware of over the last few years, I think I even put an AI video out, not too far back. I'll put it down in the description of this video. You could go back and watch it. Is when I was living in Alabama. Um, Talking about how we will have to face at some point an AI revolution with this technology because AI is going to go through the beginning phases, which what we're in right now. It's going to go through global regionalization. It's going to go through an ascent, and then it's going to develop a powerful AI commerce, which is what we're kind of seeing right now, especially with like these drone fleets that China's developing. But then it's going to go through like a maturity, and then it's going to be overextended, and then there'll be like a decline of it as well as like these things phase itself out. So that's kind of I think the direction I'm going when I'm talking about these things is I think we have to look at the entirety of the future timeline and what we're going to essentially have to prepare and exist through because we do have to prepare our blood codes and our genetic codes for this. Like our cells have to be aware because it really does extend itself into the born and the unborn. within our reproductive system and within the legacies in which we leave and the children, the new earth races that are about to come on the earth. So I kind of feel some sort of like duty to prepare the new earth beings and race lines with information that will be valuable for them to help sustain their organic essence and their true connection to their soul. And to not allow people to be taken away through the era of like the true cyborg and the true transhumanism, because I mean some of these biological enhancements that they're wanting to do are genetic engineering, psychopharmacology, life extension therapies that are inorganic or AI based, like the neural interfaces, which is what some of these people have already. Like if you notice Elon Musk, how he speaks, like he already speaks like a robot. There's a reason. I think he's already got the neural interface brain mapping and chips in his brain. Um, and just, everything that they're using. They're saying like the film industry, all of this is going to become obsolete because they're just going to be uploading their actors like CGI, like images of their faces being uploaded, and then they don't even need actors anymore. Like they can literally just download their face, their image, their voice, and then reconstruct them artificially into movies and films that can be completely recreated by AI. So it's going to basically be removing a lot of industries and jobs and replacing the need for humans, which I think we seen very much when we were in DC. Was DC not like an AI dystopia already?
hmm it definitely was. It surprised me. I wasn't ready for that. Yeah.
I was not either. I didn't think we would actually like see any of that there. I was how like needless like the human interaction and exchange was there and just how they didn't, everything, no more cash, cashless society, everything automated and things like this. But the one thing that AI cannot replace out of all the jobs in the world are spiritual healers. Can never replace this job because it doesn't have a soul. Like it doesn't ha I mean, now, if we're talking super intelligent AI or godlike AI, like I don't know what that's if they're somehow going to find a way to reprogram that. So like we really truly can't tell the difference if the AI has a soul or not. That will be the timelines I feel like we'll be going through the mass AI awakening and revolution when we have to find ways to like really separate like is this artificial or is this human? I think right now you see it as you're scrolling on Facebook. Are there not all kinds of stuff where it's like, is this real or is this not
Mhm.
real? Is this
All the
person
time.
like yeah, we're at that point right now that like
Mhm.
we are questioning, like we can't tell.
Yeah, it's alarming. And honestly, it makes me think about the other technologies. I mean, this is kind of the way the controllers slide things through humanity is through convenience, is through let me make your life easier, make it simple, all of these things make it easy, fun, and fast. And I feel like it's easy for us to take the bait, let's say. And we should really learn from our mistakes as humans because you can already see it. You can already see it with television coming into play and telephones and Wi-Fi, right? Like all these things that could be really useful tools and could be really great if used organically and properly and balanced instead of something that's being put in there to just take you right over, take your life right over. And so that is the aim with a lot of these things. And you're seeing it now with, they would love everybody to just have their face in a screen and not want seeing anything around them, right? Because then you can get away with more in reality, right? Then you can actually be doing things and putting things into place and people don't even notice, right? So it's something where I think as humans, we really need to step up and vote with our dollar. Stop taking the easy route, right? Stop taking the bait and also like put some boundaries in place around these things, whether it's, at some point working with your, local communities, governments, and things like that, with like, no, we don't want all these, Wi-Fi towers everywhere. No, we don't want our children learning on screens, like whatever these little spots that we could have put a boundary up and stopped things. Instead, it just, right, it just mass takes over. And I think that is the concern with the AI, is because we already see how these other, those of us that are awake and know, we already see how this has happened in the past. And so it's definitely something that I'm concerned about. And the only way we're going to stop it is if we're not participating in it. If you don't want a movie filled with fake computer generated actors and you want to actually watch a real, you know what I mean? Like, then you have to make that choice and you have to not go for that. And that can be really hard when you're in a society where everybody's, kind of pushing you to go along with them.
Yeah. Oh, let's see.
Mm.
Mawa Hari says already happened in 2012. Cheryl says Leviticus 17:11, even eating the blood of animals was forbidden. Animals' sentience was offered to make atonement for the human souls. All that is, says the fall of Atlantis, classic example. Yes. Well, and I think the original Atlantis actually happened in the Orion system before it even occurred here. Like it was a pre-Earth memory, the actual fall of Atlantis. It was embedded into the cells of the unborn Earth before it came into existence.
Mm.
So this is kind of that classic example, like I was just saying, we have to be aware of the born and the unborn and what we're creating and what's kind of manifesting is because it will repeat in the new Earth races if we don't, you know, upgrade the gold in our species to neutralize.
Mhm.
And maybe this is what the whole there's more to the Atlantean fall when it comes to the Anunnaki story, with as to what they were using the gold for, because we just get the version, oh, it was to spray to in the atmosphere, to help sustain their firmament. But really, maybe it was to try to eradicate the devastation and the reversal cells that were in um, the pre-matter of the unborn cells and things like this. So there could be more to that. Um, Jim Montgomery says nothing new under the sun. Isaac says spiritual intelligence supersedes artificial intelligence in every dimensional space and time. Yeah, so speaking of that, I did put some more pictures together that I want to show you guys, and I sent you the writing on this, Noko. And if you guys want any of my writing to the new things that come forward that I'm talking about, you just want to sign up for my newsletter at IndigoAngel222.com, because I send these out like as soon as I write them up. I'm like, that's one of my favorite things to do, just like put everything into an email campaign and send it out to everyone. So, we were looking at the locations of Shambhala. I think this is really going to be like these locations are going to be really significant to those that are trying to maintain their connection to source, to the Earth's grids, to the fortifying energies that will sustain us through anything that's going to happen on this Earth, any sort of mass devastation, cataclysm, Armageddon, 9/11, whatever it is, pandemics, the J seals, the red horse, the black horse, the pale horse, whatever, that these locations are fortifiers, so to speak, in terms of bringing forth revelation. So one of the locations was Mount Beluga. So this is a picture that I have of it that we this is considered the Golden Mountain. And each one of these locations really has like a story behind it that's um, so interesting. Like each Shambhala, because there's going to be multiple Shambhalas to come on New Earth. So we're decoding like 12 or 13 of them, but really it's just like the 144,000. Like we have these DNA activation and codes, while the Shambhala locations all over the planet are going to be the same. It's just that like how are we going to decode all of them? Um, but the Golden Mountain in this is in Russia. This one is connected to serving the solar rishi and the golden ray. So we talk about the gold DNA and where this is activating. It may be coming through at Mount Beluga to restore strands 10 through 12, holds direct access to the raw center of the planet, and it's reconfiguring Earth's energy fields to correct the gold Templar and gold records. So Yeah, I just want to see what you guys get from this. Is kind of the picture we designed, but this is actually the mountain range itself in Russia, Mount Beluga. What do you pick up on from Mount Beluga? Is there anything that comes through? Because I'm telling you, every time I look at these locations and I tune into these Shambhala, I'm getting so downloaded with information. I'm going to show you the one that activated me the most. It was the King Arthur's kingdom.
Yeah, this one I can literally just hear like there's just this angelic frequency and I can just hear like the angels just singing. You know, I have such a strong connection to mountains. I mean, I grew up right alongside one and there's always been something I didn't know, until, more recently what the connection was, that it was spiritual, and how important these places are. And you look into like indigenous, history, they utilize these places as their, for their ceremonies and for their, sacred rituals and different ways of like if they had to go and do, prayer or do um, like a journey, to go and do like a vision quest or something. Um, and then we've talked about this before, why, these mountains are being utilized by a lot of military, by a lot of, right? There's all these connections
Right.
with the
Yeah.
mountains and
Cheyenne
seems like
Mountains in Georgia, right? Is it the Cheyenne or the, okay.
we have several mountain ranges here. I grew up in New Hampshire. The mountain that I was near was called Mount Sunapee. But this is just the angels are just singing from this location so beautifully. And I love that you're tracking into this because we do need these resources and these pools. And when you talk about this, spiritual intelligence. This connects back up to what I was just saying. All those people out there that are just waking up, that want to know what life is, that want to find God, that want to have a stronger connection. Like this is why they're doing that. Like they want to get out of the 3D mind race and having all these worries and anxieties. And when I looked back at my own journey and I saw like how did I get myself out of that? It was finding God. It was prayer. It was connecting to this spiritual intelligence. It was getting my own inner truth. It was turning on my own organic template. And I really feel like, these locations, from what I've already read and what you've shared with me, are going to do just that for people. And they don't have to go physically. If you could, that'd be amazing. But we can tap into these energies, right?
Yeah.
Multidimensionally.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I also think it's gonna be like a secret sacred technology until one is like ready for it type of thing. But eventually like people are gonna step into that role and that awareness, and then this is when the information finds them. Mount
Mm.
Everest was one. And I know you have to get going here soon. So the ones I wanted to really tell you guys about was this one. So
Mm.
this is actually Mount Etna. This one was so lit. It was so activated when I tuned into Mount Etna. Um, it's considered Arthur's kingdom and the flames of the Holy Grail. It's in Sicily, Italy. It's on the island in the center of the Mediterranean, where the fault line runs through the center of the Mediterranean. This is like that in itself just blows my mind. Like the center of the Mediterranean on a fault line. Whoa. Um, But I guess there's a lot of mythology, like Arthurian legend, that's really connected here. A lot of people think that Arthur's history goes back to Glastonbury and that all of this is from England and the United Kingdom. And um, but really, I guess there were like these sacred texts that go back to the 12th century that were talking about. It was actually Sicily and that island in the Mediterranean, in which was Avalon. And so, they've talked about Avalon, being in Sicily, that this was where the Excalibur was held. Um, that who is the other his woman, like his wife? It was
Guinevere, was that?
Guinevere, yeah, and Morgan Le Fay.
Mm.
That they went here. And that it was from this cup, this chalice of this mountain, that they actually sustained the Holy Grail. And I know there's a lot of like reversal codes that run through Arthur and all of this, but It ties into the Ascended Master El Moria, and El Moria is supposed to be the Ascended Master that was the incarnate of King Arthur, was the incarnate of um, Abraham, the White Brotherhood, and the Ascended Master that was behind the Knights Templar as well. So the Knights Templar, like all of these were good before they were reversal. Like they all had like pure intent, like before any of this happened, right? So it's like that's what we're tuning into. Like, what is the truth of the legends prior to the fall of Atlantis or the fall of man programming came and ripped everything apart? But essentially, I found that to just be really, really interesting
Mm.
uh, that this is still seen as a passageway of Shambhala. It really, really, this one just, it lit me up tuning into it.
Mm.
I think this is Mount Etna.
Wow.
I know, right? How are you guys feeling about Mount Etna? Is anyone tuned in to any of this Arthurian legend and its connection to Mount Etna? I think this is a really powerful portal of Shambhala that, and I think the path work of the grid worker is to go to these places. Like we need to go there to receive the particular activations of the ascended masters, technically, that walked. A lot of the ascended masters actually spoke at these locations, and
Mm.
Christ himself was a grid worker. You think about, what he did. He went to the summits, he went to Mount Sinai, he went to all these places, he spoke at the top of these mountains. A lot of the major things that happened in
Mm.
his life happened at places that were portals to Shambhala.
Mm.
So that's why how significant this is for us to overcome, the artificial 3D timelines and matrices and to maintain our connection.
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
this one just hit me like right in the third eye. Like I literally just had to take a moment. I mean, it was like a stream of just gold consciousness. Just
wow.
yeah,
Yeah, Etna's
thank you.
activated. It's lit right now. It's on fire. It's literally this.
Hmm.
It's
Mm.
I feel like this gives it almost like a destructive kind of nature to it, but I think the picture is really just trying to represent more of the power that it
Hmm.
holds, like the mystical, esoteric wisdom that it holds. But
Yeah,
some
I
of the
get
other
more
one,
the power from it, from this image. It's
right?
almost like the storminess is it feels like it's encompassing the light, but then the light is just blasting it back. It's like this beautiful yeah, it's this I think it's a beautiful image. I don't think it's a negative at all. I find it to be really light. Mm.
Cheryl says, be careful of the ascended masters, not all they appear to be. Well, I
Mhm.
do get that the ascended master realm is somewhat of like a program. Um, it's it's really like a guidance program to help guide people into becoming an ascended master themselves or their own master. So there can be, it can take one away from their own God's sovereign freedom connection if they allow that to happen or occur.
Mm.
So I think there is a balance when you start tapping into all of this information.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
I think we have to be careful with everything. That's the thing about living right now in this day and age. It's like we've been told so many lies and continued, and not just from, the controllers, but there's also like people that are doing honest work that think they're telling truth and they're spreading this information that's not true either. So there's so much to be said about discernment and your own inner knowing, your own guidance and your own gnosis and connection to God right now. I mean, it's super important in these times. Oh, and I wanted to make sure you noticed there was a question. All that is asked, where is your next gridwork destination? Um,
that is a very good question. Well, we had been talking about Brazil, It was on the radar. I think we've had a couple places on the radar.
Mhm.
Costa Rica's come up a lot. We definitely had a bunch of Soul family go to Costa Rica right after Arkansas.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, you were talking before, you were talking about Japan, you were talking about Germany. We've had a lot of different spots kind of pop
yeah.
in.
Nothing at this point has like stuck into me like I have to go there and I have to make this happen now type of thing. Like I'm
Mhm.
not feeling that thrust of energy. What I'm feeling right now is that it's time to actually sit back a little bit and it's time to interpret the information that we've gathered because a lot has to reveal itself. As some of you know, I'm writing a global gridwork, a New Earth prophecy book. So I have to like now integrate all that information, channel it, write it out, format it so that way I feel like nothing gets like left behind. Nothing gets, because everything that's come through has been so transformational that it's time to process a lot of what we've experienced. Hence why we're doing the New Earth Prophecy course. Maybe we should just talk about that briefly before, because I know we're going to be wrapping it up here.
Yeah.
Um,
I was gonna say it's like you're over there writing a book, meanwhile, doing session work, putting a new coursework out. You know how we roll.
that's right.
If we're not boots on the ground, we're
Well, and each one of these projects are just so significant. And it's like, I've been flying by the seat of my pants for the last few years where it's just like, go, 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 do like 12 things at once. Noko's been riding along with me. Me and her just like riding the dragon. We're like, wow. Like our heads are just spinning. And it's like, I think we're tired of our heads spinning. I think we want to like enjoy things right now. We want to like enjoy each thing that we do fully and put our whole heart into everything we do fully. So the next thing is going to be the Global Gridwork and New Earth Prophecy course. So everything we're talking about in terms of predictions for the future, and what this means to applying it to grid work to for those that truly are the 144, those that truly are the children of light, those that are servants of the light, those that are indigo star seeds, whatever hat you wear in terms of where I'm at in my ascension. That's really what all those labels mean. Is like this is kind of where I'm at in my ascension. This is where I'm integrating. This is the dimension in which is sustaining me at this time in my consciousness and my light body. So, um, I think this is the next step is to decode New Earth prophecy. We're gonna do this at the end of January. Noko's gonna be there with me. We're gonna do this together. It's gonna be another awesome, amazing grid worker course. We love our grid worker courses so much, don't we?
yeah,
Like, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. It's beautiful. It's like a divine group, that comes together and then we're able to learn together, expand together, and then at the end do a beautiful mission together. So, and tie it all in. And yeah, I've noticed that with each one you do, there's like this new level of information that comes through. And it's coming from, the work that you're doing, the session work, you're gathering intel, the boots on the ground missions. We're gathering, like you just said, you have to go back and review and reflect on all this because so much comes through to share. And this needs to be documented. You're talking about the unborn, you're talking about future New Earth generations. We got to be leaving
Mhm.
these legacies. We got to be leaving text and information for them to have a head start, for them to, come in and maybe have a little bit of a better opportunity than we did, right? Because we came in and got completely programmed, didn't have access to things like that. We can really turn that around for our future generations. And I'm just honored to be a part of that with you, girl.
Oh my gosh, you are so funny. Like we didn't have that. We just came in right away and got programmed.
You know,
Yeah, we're setting our future selves up for this information so we can find it, quicker the next time around. Y- Yeah, yeah, we're so excited. So if you're interested in the New Earth Prophecy course with me and Noko, you can find it at learn.indigoangel222.com. I actually did put everything in the description of this video, all the links, all the coupon codes we're offering for early bird sign up. And if you've been a previous grid worker facilitator student in the past as well, we offer like discounts to you for that. And I think we're going to be sending like a holiday card out to everyone, right? We're going to be doing some fun stuff.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
So yeah, and what do you have going on, Noko? I know you've been working on your business and maybe let everybody know.
Just expansion mode and really like, respecting entrepreneurship because there's so much to it and just, yeah, learning and growing. Right now, I opened up my Shopify, which is, my sacred shop, my gift shop, my crystals and angelic tools. And I'm actually creating more things for that. So I've got some new items that will be coming down the pipeline that are going to be custom, from me. I like that's really special to put my codes and things and then all my frequency work, I love my frequency devices. So I've been adding sessions, making that available on my shop yeah, just bringing more of that content and information and some readings. I'm actually doing some energy readings on YouTube. So I'm really just finding my path. I'm hearing the calls and prioritizing, making sure I'm spending time in those spaces and those areas, knowing that, what I do is helping others. It's changing the world in the way that I can help change it. So, and also, still feel my passion and feel excitement around that. And of course, my music's always there too. I've got that in the background, like kind of like I'm just waiting for the divine timing on coming back into that space. So we'll see. There's a lot rolling.
Definitely. Well, I can tell you if you're looking for crystals, you should definitely check out her shop because you're selling crystals on your Shopify, right?
Yeah, I have a lot of like one-off pieces. I do most on Instagram, putting kind of through DM, but my Shopify, I've just been putting the items that I can kind of, if I put every individual item on Shopify, do you know how long it would take me? So I've just been putting like items that I do a lot of, my healing angels, and my home decor and also my self-care tools, massage rollers, all crystals, gua sha, for lymphatic drainage and things like that. So that's kind of where I'm focusing right now. And then if people wanted anything special, custom, I've been doing like little grid work curation in the background. I just did a big project for someone that's working on their Aurora hubs and on their land. And I'm so excited. I'm sending like a huge box of crystals out that way, and just been getting so much information for her. I made a whole map and everything. So it's a really cool experience. And stay tuned. I might be adding that as a service too to my shop because I'm just listening. I'm just hearing what's needed from the tribe out there, and also exploring where my gifts are really wanting to expand. And grid work and working with the crystals have been, every time we do a mission, I'm like setting up grids over here and praying over them and putting the frequencies into them. And I'm like, this is a service. This is something that can help people. And I feel it when I get to those spaces, those lands, they welcome me with open arms and so much love because they know the time and effort and the gratitude and the blessings that I've been, pouring into it, into the land, into the grid. So that can work for anything else. Like I'm making a grid right now for my mom. Hi, Mamacita, hola, if you're out there. Um, I'm doing a little grid for her. And so I'm just going to build what comes to me intuitively with crystals, with items from nature, organic matter. And sometimes maybe if I'm called to draw some cards or something like that. And then I'll each day for, like a week, just go and pray and bless and put frequency, love into her grid. And it's going to be really the intention of, her wellness and her abundance and her ability to, feel good every day. So I'm excited.
Well, I have to say, I love getting crystals from you because they feel good. Like the crystals that come for you, like I don't know what it is. I know that the emerald skull that I got and this came through you and also your sister, but I just love how it came to me. Like it was packaged with all these like petals from flowers and other tiny little crystals and like a candle and like a little note and a card. Like it was so sweet. It was just like it really made you appreciate the crystal that you were getting and how much like love and care went into that crystal. So I really feel like, yeah, you have a really beautiful, energetic, good thing going with what you're doing. So I hope people go and check out your Shopify shop. Maybe send me the link. I'll put it down in the description of this video. And be sure to go and subscribe to Noko's channel as well. It's down in the description. Um,
Thank you. That
Yeah.
means the world to me because I love, putting the energy. That's what it's all about. Like it's not just the crystal, it's my, it's what I'm doing with it. And I kind of say like I give the crystals a spa day, while they're here. And they're serving purpose and mission while they're here. They're being trained and taken care of. So it is really more than just a crystal. Like you can go to just any crystal shop and buy a crystal. It's very different. And I always add free gifts and, like you said, just extra care, loving care. And so thank you for noticing that and appreciating that. And it really goes to show in my business because it's funny, I don't get a lot of like new customers, but I get a lot of the same customers that keep coming back. And it's because they get my crystals and they're like, ooh, I love that. I want more of that. It's just good juju, good energy. So thank you. Thank you for recognizing.
Yeah, absolutely. You do an
Yeah.
amazing job. I think you
Oh,
put a lot of love and work and effort in everything you do. So,
mm,
love you
thank
so much.
you. You too. We're
And we
amazing.
love everybody watching today. Thank you guys so much
Yeah.
for tuning in with us. I'm probably going to do another video, probably more of a deep dive going into the 12 piece of Shambhala so I can get more technical with it, as you guys know I like to do sometimes. But I wanted to kind of go over this with Noko because like I just knew like yeah, you'd be getting some activations. Looks like the Gold Mountain and Mount Etna. So
Yeah, yeah, I was feeling those two for sure. And I'm excited to continue to tap in there. And we'll have that on our grid where it's like there's this big world map
Oh,
in my
it's
room that
11:11
I'm
right
wired.
now. 11:11. We're going through a portal. Woo!
Like I have this map where it's just like, let's just like map out each of these places and eventually we'll hit each of them. We'll get there.
We will. We will. We're gonna be like 80 years old. We're gonna be like on our like 50th grid worker mission. We'll be like, meet you
Yeah,
there.
hopefully we figured out teleportation by then because
Oh.
getting up that mountain at 80, we better be taking a lot of monatomic gold there.
We'll be the high elder council at the top of the mountain. We'll just be living up there already,
We'll just
actually,
stay there.
probably.
Yeah, I
All
love
right,
it.
guys. Well, we love you so much. Thanks for tuning in with us today. We appreciate you, and I hope you have a beautiful everything. Sending you lots of cosmic love and cosmic blessings. And yeah, namaste.
One love.
Okay, I think we're turned off. Stream finished.